welcome along to another video. Matt Durant here from Go To Driving School. So we've got the rare opportunity today to make a video about driving in snow and preparing the car ready to drive in snow. So let's get right down to it. So I guess the first thing that you need to think about is your journey really necessary? Good morning guys, nice snowy morning here, Sunday morning in Derby. Today I thought I'd make a quick video on snow and how to deal with it and preparing your car and give you a few hints and tips. So let's get into it. So first thing you're going to do obviously is unlock the car. First tip is get yourself a pair of gloves, especially when we're cleaning the screen off. And always make sure you've got a scraper in your car. And while I'm doing this, I'm going to pop the engine on and start demisting the screens. As you can see guys, it's absolutely covered inside here. So we'll pop the engine on. What I'm not going to do is put the wipers on yet, because that's going to put extra load on the motor on the wipers. So I am going to clean this first. But I am going to just leave the engine running, obviously warm the car up inside because it's blooming freezing. So I'll make sure everything's on high. And I can just put the blowers on there. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a sec. Now what's really important as well guys, that you don't shut the door fully to, so that you leave it sort of half shut, because doors do have an auto lock feature as well. So we'll just go about cleaning this off. We'll start from the top. It's really important that you clean the top off, because otherwise when you get to a junction to brake, it all comes flying down and it can obscure your visibility right at the time when you need it most. You better start top bottom and just work your way down. Obviously this is why the gloves are so important. Try not to use a CD case or anything because it can scratch. Make sure it's something that's specially designed for it. Make sure you're leaving no blind spots. You've got some mirrors as well. And then if you make sure you get all your lights. Ice from around your windows so that everything's visible and you've got no blind spots. Also making sure that you get everything off the roof, so that when you brake at junctions or the first roundabout you come to or whatever it is, hopefully not too much braking in a day like today, but hopefully it is going to be, it's not going to come flying down basically and distort your view out the front. Obviously make sure your lights are clean and that you can be seen by the road users. Make sure that your mirrors are clear and that your windows are demisted thoroughly. So I've just demisted the car, just ready for driving now. I am going to remove this hat also before I drive, because these bits here, it's very warm outside demisted and stuff. Don't forget your gloves either, but it is going to block off my peripheral vision, so I'm not going to see things out the corners of my eyes like I usually would. Yeah, so let's talk about starting off in snow. So starting driving in snow. So if you experience a wheel spin when you're starting off in snow, the last thing you want to do is accelerate harder. All right, because what'll happen then is your wheels will just dig in further. So what you want to try and do is move the car slightly backwards, and then you need to select the highest gear that you can, because there's less power in the higher gears. You can move off in any gear, you just have to get the clutch right. It's not great for the clutch, but we have to do what we can in these conditions. Also, if your wheels do get stuck, you can put, like I don't know how to explain it, like there's the sacks that you can get. you can put those under the wheels and that'll help to provide a bit of grip. Oh, use snow chains. I don't know if you ever heard of snow chains. I mean, in this country, we don't experience it as much, do we, the snow and stuff, but I guess it depends how often you're experiencing snow. What I will do is I'll put a link in the description for some snow chains. The other things is snow socks, which I believe are easier to fit, and obviously these just provide more grip in the winter, in the snow distance, because we need to allow for bigger gaps for longer braking, and that's the thing, and that's what I was going to mention earlier as well, along with the snow chains and snow socks. There is certain tyres that you can put on in winter that have a specially designed tread pattern that can provide more grip. Okay, also bear in mind today that snow will cover up the road markings, so particularly if you're driving in any new areas, which wouldn't be great on a day like today anyway. As I say, only travel if it's really essential. So those are all things to bear in mind. Look for those shiny bits, guys. Look out for those shiny bits on the roads. Don't be doing anything harsh on those, any harsh steering, any harsh acceleration. The driving today has got to be so gentle with everything, every gear that you engage, every steer that you do, every movement every movement that you do. Also, if it was to start raining, as it falls, black ice is an invisible danger, as we said. And it'll feel like you're aquaplaning. Aquaplaning is where your wheels lose contact with the floor, and steering will feel especially light in these situations. If you do find yourself driving on ice, you need to keep your speed down. You need to treat every control, brakes, accelerator, steering, clutch very delicately, as we said. And another thing is when no sound comes from the tyres. So if there's no sound coming from the tyres, they're not on the actual road usual surface. Getting into a lower gear earlier than normal to allow your speed to fall, and use the brake pedal gently and early to keep your speed well under control. Cornering on snow and ice. Time your braking and adjust your speed so that you don't have to use your brakes on the bend. Approach the corner at a steady speed and use the highest possible gear. Be gentle with the accelerator. Don't use the clutch unless you absolutely have to, because you will eliminate your engine braking then. Take just as much care when coming back out of the turn as well. All right, steer smoothly and avoid any sudden movements. This is really important. Climbing hills on snow and ice, the best method really is to try and keep your speed constant, because if you slow down, it's a bit like you've got to get going again then, and that could be extra difficult if you're going uphill. All right, so always leave good gaps in between you and others, because they could roll back into you. All right, get nowhere near anybody in these conditions. And again, if you do move off, as we said earlier, try to use a high gear to avoid wheel spin. Be aware that there may be potholes underneath the snow and slush. Same with when it's raining, guys, so just be really careful with that. And just another tip, if you're parking in these conditions, then you need to consider, is it going to be wise to leave it on an uphill slope, So you've really got to think about this. You've really got to think about every single move you do and how you're going to get out of it, all right? So the next thing we're going to do a little bit of driving. I'm going to take this silly hat off, and I've took my gloves off already, because I don't want to drive in cotton gloves. Cotton? I don't know. Cotton gloves. You can get driving gloves, guys. So, as I say, I'll put a few links in the description. You can look at some snow tyres, some snow socks, maybe some driving gloves and that. But, yeah, so let's get out and about and have a look how it is. So we're all set. Windows are clean. Blind spots are done. We're ready to get going. Just get these wipers on. Windows are demisted. Yeah, we're good. Light dipped headlights are on. Yeah, let's have a go. So first of all, assess the conditions before you get there. So first thing is, there's going to be kids out and about playing, aren't they? Overwhelmed with the snow. So let's think about that first. And also, the road outside here, as you can see, is absolutely clean. Nothing's, well, one or two vehicles have been on it so far, I think. So I'm just using usual clutch control here to get out. I can feel the front tyres. Can you hear that crunching on that new snow? Oh, we've got a snowman already. Look, guys, look at that, look. So I'm being real delicate with the clutch. I'm being careful with the gas. I'm going to get my left tyre on that track that's already been used. It's a pretty cool looking snowman. Very nice. So we can see somebody here who's also preparing. I'm just going to ease off. I don't want to make a rush and make a slip over as she's getting into this car. You can see there's lots of snow there where she just got in. Don't want that. Again, just, you know, keep up to date behind really. There's nothing behind me. I'm in first gear. I'm going to try second, but I'm not going to accelerate, and I'm coming up on the clutch real slow, and I'm off the clutch there. Alright, and I'm not going to go any faster than this. I think I'm doing about 9 miles an hour because it's downhill. If I do any sudden steering, that dog could run out. Look, you see that woman with that dog? And if it does, I'm not going to stop in time whatsoever. I'm just not. And so, as you can see, there's a few more tyre tracks down this way. It's a little bit, been a little bit more used. The car feels a bit more controlled when I'm on these tyre tracks because it's a bit more like wet slush rather than compact snow. Well, it's not really compact yet, but basically I'm compacting it as I'm driving on it, aren't I guess. So I'm going to turn left at the end. So I'm easing off the gas already, and I'm in the mirrors signalling, and I'm off the gas completely now. Engine tick over's taking me. So I'm braking gently, clutch down, extra braking, but I'm so delicate. Look how slow I'm approaching this line. And the steering for the junction is going to be gentle. You know, when I'm positioning with that curb like I usually do. Real gentle. Now this road I'm coming onto is downhill, right? Can you see that? The lines aren't visible because of all the water and slush. I can't really see to the right. So I'm just going to edge out real slow. Just clutch really. It's a petrol car, but just clutch because popping the right signal. So I'm going to turn right now. Looking left and right, it's all clear. So I clutch up gently. Bit of gas. And this is a bit more like driving on wet surface, but there's going to be lots of slush still, and this slush is still slippy. So I'm doing 16 mile an hour. I think I'm going to get third gear. It feels like the right thing to do, so that's what I'm doing. Be aware as well, pedestrians, if they are crossing the road or they're on the pavement, they could slip over and that could affect or impact on us as well. So I'm doing 22. Can't really see the road ahead or what the conditions are like. Also be aware that when cars come to the end of other junctions, they might go to brake late and skid and drive into you. So always be aware of the actions of others and what that could do. As we said, a couple of car parks and stuff on the left. You wouldn't want to be parking facing an uphill because you can have trouble starting again. So the lights are on red, so I'm off the gas and I'm braking so thinly, guys, you won't believe it, it's so thin. And it's time for clutch down. I'm going to turn right here. Nothing behind me, there's not much out today, and as I said earlier, you know, don't make that journey unless it's absolutely necessary. The heated seat's quite nice as well, guys, I must admit. And yeah, so just gently coming into this right hand turn box. I'm not rushing, so if he speeds up in front, I'm not going to have the facility to brake. Remember, I'm crossing his path. First gear there, I've not touched the brake, I've just gone clutch down in first. I've got time here before that one, to be honest. It's important not to be sort of overdo it as well. Bit of slush here as I come up the hill, staying in first gear, 12 mile an hour. It's asking me for second, but I'm overriding it with human common sense. Same with your sat navs, guys, on your new driving test, yeah? Override some things with human common sense. Some kids here could get snowballed. I would expect to get snowballed there. It's all a bit of fun really, as long as there's no bricks in it. So we've got a hill coming up, and hopefully I'm going to, I mean, it depends how snowy it is, but if it's really snowy then this wasn't a good idea. If not, then we'll see. So I'm staying in second gear, keeping the speed constant, steering really steady on the old steering. You can feel the grip starting to loosen a bit. You see there's lots of slush on the road, but I'm keeping the speed so steady. I'm off the gas now for the mini roundabout, and I'm staying off. Little tiny bit of brake and clutch. Oh, keeping the clutch up then because it's clear. Clutch back gently up and off. I'd pressed it down probably about a centimetre, to be honest. Alright, so coming into the new road, it looks fairly used around here. It looks fairly just wet, but there is, as you can see, there is icy bits all around, so don't underestimate it. I've sped up a little and I am in third, but I wouldn't be taking it for granted. Early on in my driving career, I pulled into a car park, I think it was B&Q, turned left, steered too heavy, too fast, and I just kept going on. I just kept going straight. My tyres turned, but the direction of the car didn't, and I just carried on going straight and just walloped this curb. I'm going to turn right at the mini roundabout. Again, just dropping gears into seconds. There's a bit of turning going on here. Just gentle there, coming round. Bit of slush on the left there, being particularly mindful of that. Going to take the next road on the right. Off the gas, car behind is close, giving an early brake signal there. Second gear, clutch up. Still on the brake, only gently though. And this road's a little bit less used, as you can see. There's a bit more slush on it. And then I'm going to take the next road on the right. Now when I turn in here, look. And actually I'm looking into the other road before I turn in as well, because there's a few things going on there, a few cars waiting and stuff. Now you can't really see the road markings, can you? So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to look for where this car is on the right. I'm looking for the curb over there, because I can see that the snow's not that deep. Just going to make sure I don't cut the corner. That car's held back shy of the lines. And I'm not going to use any harsh acceleration here whatsoever. They've got the Volvo there, that's the 4x4 that's held back. Is it holding back because a car's coming up the hill and struggling? I don't know. I'm not going to be in a rush to get there. I intend to turn right also. He's reversing, so I'm going to put the clutch down and I'm going to brake ever so gently. The car behind me now. Okay, so the car behind me wants to turn right, the car in front's pulled in, the Volvo has reversed. Now, let's have a look why it's reversed. It probably just thought better of it. If you look down that road, it probably just thought better of it. So I'm not going to go down either, because once you start sliding, that's not going to be a good thing. Okay there guys, so we're just following the road ahead really. Obviously we didn't turn down that road because it looks a bit suspect. Quite slushy along here. Quite a few pedestrians out and about. It looks a bit whiter down this way as well. I'll tell you what is also quite a bit dodgy as well is driving in four-wheel drive cars. Rear-wheel drive cars, because the back just tends to spin side to side. Just saw a pedestrian fall over there. I don't know if you spotted that on the camera. So yeah, I'm in second gear at the moment. I'm keeping onto the tyre tracks. Although, you know, when the snow's, because this snow was fresh this morning, these tyre tracks can then become the iciest. Now, because it breaks down to water and then it could freeze, so it depends what the temperature is. I mean, it's 1 degree here at the moment. So we got a bend coming up. Now what I'm going to do for that bend, it looks quite tight and quite snowy, so I'm going to pop into first, clutch coming gently up, slowing the speed down from 9 to 7 in first, 6 then in first gear, just with engine braking. I was really delicate with the way I did that. If I keep going, I'm going to end up in that white car there, or I'm going to end up in this little punto here. You know, if I was to steer but not steer and keep going straight, I feel now as I'm taking my steering off, I'm going to put a little bit of acceleration on. If I was to accelerate too heavy, guys, I reckon I could just give a little demo here. That would happen. Did you feel it? Did you hear it skid and just slide? It just didn't pick up any grip at all. So you imagine that, doing that at speed, I mean 10 mile an hour or more, 15 mile an hour or more, especially when you got turn on, it takes absolutely nothing to mess it up, basically. So here could be quite tricky. I've been quite optimistic, really. Looking at the end of the junction, it's been salted quite heavily by the looks of it, so that's quite good. But this hill here could be quite tricky. You see how it starts to go downhill? Look, I don't want to end up in this guy's boot, do I? It looks quite full as well, doesn't it? There's enough room for me in there. That dog could run out. If it does, I won't be braking harsh, I don't think. Just because you've got to end up crushing, you know, if I skidded, I can end up crushing that lady's legs if I ended up in the back of her, for example. So sometimes you've got to make them decisions early. I love dogs, by the way. It's nothing like that. You know, as to what you do, because if you second guess in these conditions, and you know, you've not. Anyway, let's hope this car doesn't turn in too quickly. I want to keep moving here, so I'm letting the engine tick over, carry me, looking right, looking left. They're very, very slushy. And the trick there was not to stop. If I'd have stopped there, I'd have had a real hard time getting going again. Did you see how slushy it was? If you're unsure, just rewind the footage and just have a look. Now what we can get onto is some faster driving. The road here quietened up a little bit in terms of ice and slush, so there's a bit more speed back there. That looks a bit shiny there, just slowing down a bit. And there's nothing in the left hand lane, so not too difficult there getting on. And again, some roads are salted or gritted more heavily than others. And I guess they prioritise roads like this because at speed these were probably the most risk. That is not the weather you want to get a puncture. Somebody's got repairing a puncture out the side. Unlucky. So we're going to come off at the next exit. So I'm signalling early for this car behind me. It's also coming off, so I hope it keeps its gap. I'm just slowing a bit earlier, so I'm letting the car know this is sort of what I'm doing. You know, this is how I'm driving. And because I've got this real sharp bend coming up, I can't see round it, so I'm going to go 5th to 2nd. Normally go 3rd here, you see. I'm going to go 2nd today. A bit more engine braking, really delicate with the clutch coming up and steering timing. Also delicate with getting that steering off. Junction coming up. I think it's slightly uphill, which could be an issue. How slushy is it? Not that much on my side. Looking right, looking left. I've got to stop here because of this car. It's not as bad though, because as I say, there's some grip on the some grip to be had because there isn't all the stuff on the floor. Quite good on this road. Although now it's starting to become a little bit more slushy. You see, it's ever changing, it just changes all the time. Still got the same car behind me, it's a good distance. Remember guys, we need to be sort of 10 times the usual distance on a day like today. So what's the usual distance? It's 2-second following distance between you and another car or vehicle. So we double that. Sorry, we'd 10 times that, so it'd be 20, wouldn't it? Road's pretty good. Nothing really to shout about down here. I'm travelling at 30. Just got into 4th gear actually, probably could have gone into 4th earlier. If I spot anything suspect, I'm going to come off the gas in good time, drop the gear gently. Again, the road's still good really. You see these shiny bits, now I know that's the snow melted here. It's only just started snowing this morning. If it was first thing in the morning, I'd be very, very suspect about that shiny bits. Because that, it might look like water, it might look like nothing at all as well, but it might look like water, but it could well be ice. Same again, road's decent down here. That's another thing, we're going to have pedestrians on roads so you don't get his socks wet. That's the truth of it though, isn't it really? You know, so he don't fall over, he don't get his socks wet. Got a 40 limit coming up. I'll probably speed up, car behind is already. But again, I'm just being vigilant because I can't really see that far ahead. Go uphill here and then slightly down. Now I can see the road ahead coming around the bend. So I'll just speed it up a little, 37. Yeah, I reckon we can do 40 to be honest. Pedestrian looks quite stable there. Quite a wide footpath. This car's going to move off, is it? No. I can't really see its lights anyway because he's not really cleaned them. So that was a bit confusing. I'm going to be taking the second right, which is about where the pedestrians are. So I'm going to slow real early because I reckon they'll step off without looking, you know, because they've got hoods on and stuff, like I said earlier. There you go. Look, didn't look. They might catch you out the corner of their eye in future if they haven't got the hoods. You know, like his hood on and stuff. Sometimes big hats can do the same. Just cuts off your peripheral, so never drive with anything like that on. Okay guys, so I hope you found the video useful. Don't forget to subscribe and like this video, and I'll catch you again in the next video guys.